What's up, everybody? We are back at Around the Mat Pod. I am your host, PJ North, and we're going to talk all things wrestling. It's been a week since we've been here. I guess 2 weeks since I've been here. I had the week off last week. A little hiatus as racing season has started for me. That makes things a little more difficult, but we are back nonetheless. It is Thursday, and we got a lot of things to talk about. But before we get into it, if you're watching live on Twitch, let us know in the chat room, man, because I got the chat window open. We want to talk. We want to hear your thoughts. Let us know. Hit that like button. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button on the video. Comment. Let us know your thoughts because that helps us out. But I also like to interact, man. It gives me a chance to talk wrestling with more people, and that's really what we're all trying to do. So if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, please leave us a 1-star or 5-star. Share with your friends. Tell everybody you know. And follow us on all social medias at AroundTheMatPod. Super easy, man. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. All the socials that you can think of. I'm not really active on TikTok, so I kind of threw that out, but it's still there. If I do start to follow, we'll post clips and things like that. But let us know, man, at AroundTheMatPod. I'm excited to get into it. We are back again this week, and I brought the homie along. Young T.Y. Tyler Miller is back in full effect. What's up, baby?
What's going on, PJ? There's been a lot going on. Some good, some bad. We'll definitely get into that.
Oh, yeah, we're going to talk all about it, man. There's been a lot of good. And how have you been, though? It's been 2 weeks since we talked last. You been doing all right?
Yeah, man. Looking forward to discussing, what's going on in professional wrestling. My girlfriend, she doesn't share that same sentiment as me, so got somebody
nice to have somebody to talk to, right?
With. Absolutely.
Yeah, my girlfriend, my fiance, now I got to get used to saying that. My fiance, she's getting used to it, man. She likes it, and she likes some of the stuff, but sometimes when we watch, like, New Japan or, AEW, or I've got her deep in the cuts and we're watching, like, territory stuff, she's like, oh, my God. But she's not, like, a TV person, so she really isn't like, oh, my God, I'm missing my show. She doesn't really care. She's super supportive of that, and she'll watch Raw, and she'll always ask me the day of. She'll be like, oh, is anything good going to happen tonight? Like I'm, friends with the booking, so I do appreciate that, but I totally get it, man. It's, unfortunately, I do have a wrestling group chat that fires me up every day, and it is a nightmare. I was getting fired and more fired up recently, and it's funny because so it's so funny, like, no one can really offend me. Being in the music business and doing what I did for a long time, like, I just don't care. You either like it or don't, so it's not really that big a deal, but when it comes to wrestling, sometimes I be getting fired up, and I'm like, man, I am friends with some dumb idiots, right? But in reality, it's just their opinion of something, and I just think I hold my opinion in a higher regard. And so it's, I get it, man. Wrestling is one of those things, dude. It's an art form in the sense of, like, you can debate art, right? It's not, it's not like football or basketball or baseball where you can, like, debate stats. Like, that's what it boils down to. Who's the greatest hitter of all time? Well, who has the most hits? That's the greatest hitter of all time. Who has the most home runs? That's the greatest home run hitter of all time. I don't give a shit if he played against fucking little league pitchers. Doesn't matter. If he had the most home runs, he has the most home runs. So I think about that a lot, right? There's no debating, the debate about LeBron and Michael Jordan. Well, the debate is who's got more championships and who is better known. That's Michael Jordan. That makes him the GOAT, right? Kobe is second and LeBron can be third, whatever. But those, like, there's these debates. But when it comes to wrestling, it's all, like, subjective, right? And they say, as Conrad and them say, creative is subjective, and wrestling obviously is that thing. So
don't get me wrong, though. Wouldn't you like to see a Stephen A. and a Skip Bayless debate on, some wrestling topics? I feel like that a heated debate between those two on wrestling, I think, would be cool.
Dude, it would be really awesome if we had educated people whose opinions weren't such dog shit. The perfect example.
Yeah.
Dude, I just saw this too, and it's funny that you say that about Stephen. So I was a big Stephen A. fan back in the day, and I liked him, and I got it, right? But then it's almost like ESPN egged it on, where they were like, all right, maybe say some other crazy dumb shit. So it's like, all right, man, whatever, bro, we get it. But, like, I get that's all for entertainment. It has nothing to do with their actual thoughts. And I think the part that bothers me is, like, Paul Feinbaum has done nothing except talk about Alabama and Auburn football for 30 years, and now all of a sudden he's fucking highly paid. That guy doesn't know dick all about any sports, okay? And he's paid to talk about it, and I hate it. I cannot stand it. And I think the same thing about some of these wrestling Twitter folks. Man, JD from NY is a perfect. I saw him getting into an argument with John Alba. John Alba is an actual journalist, and JD's from NY, some fucking guy's basement complaining about wrestling all the fucking time. And John Alba was like, I don't know who you throwing shots at, dog, but it ain't me. I was like, hell yeah. And so I think it would be interesting. The problem is that because it's so subjective, that and these folks that are like pundits in wrestling are so wishy-washy / like never want to stand on their actual theory. They're just like, it's so back. I saw the other day, did you see the thing about Bubba Ray Dudley and Undertaker where they were live watching NXT? Did you see that on Busted Open?
No, I didn't. I didn't see that.
So they were on Busted Open. They were doing a live watch along. And at Bubba at some point's like, oh, who's that on my TV? And Undertaker's like, man, that's Ricky Starks, right? Calls it out. Neither one of them pops, though. Not 3 seconds later or 30 seconds later, maybe it was a cut and just a bad job on their social team, but it was like, Bubba's like, yeah, we both popped hard for Ricky Starks. I'm like, no, you fucking, neither one of you popped. Y'all were standing there just like, oh, that was Ricky Starks. Get the, I hate it. I hate it with a passion. I hate it so much. So would I love to see Stephen A. and Skip Bayless do it? Yeah. Would I love to see any of the people who are currently talking about it? Absolutely not.
Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree with everything you said there.
But I do think, yeah, thanks for letting me. That's my soapbox, man. Sometimes I just think, like, I don't know, man. I just wish that, like, if you're going to be so opinionated about professional wrestling, I think that you should have to be well-versed in professional. It's like, it goes back to the Paul Feinbaum thing. If you're going to talk about college football, you should have had to have watched other college football other than Auburn and Alabama for your entire fucking career. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. And a big thing, of course, with like some of the ESPN guys, definitely mentioning Skip and Stephen A., they actually have, a platform that's more so for entertainment, where these guys on Twitter are doing it for clicks and likes.
They want to be that. They want to be entertaining with their polarizing stuff, right?
Exactly, yeah. And I just don't think that's possible with, a business like the wrestling business. It's a very fine line for it.
Agreed. 100% agreed. All right, well, we've had, I'm fired up now, by God. We're 10 minutes in. I'm fired up. Let's get it going. Let's get it going. Let's talk some headlines here. First headline is WWE Releases. I don't know if you've seen some of the releases. Let me get the timer started. Some of those releases are pretty crazy. Not necessarily uncalled for, unthought of, or whatever, but like a little weird. Duke Hudson, Elektra Lopez, Tegan Knox. Who else was it? Sonya Deville.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, crazy. So, what are your thoughts on releases in professional wrestling? And how do you feel about how Indy Hartwell obviously was before the new year, but how do you feel about the professional wrestling releases and how it works or how it looks or how it turns? I mean, just overall, what are your thoughts?
I feel like I'll speak more so on like this round, I guess, of cuts, we'll call it. I think on WWE's part, I think they were really, trimming some stuff back a little bit, which, I mean, rightfully so. They have a plethora of talent. They're not lacking in talent for any three of their shows. And I think it was a smart move. One thing that I really don't understand, especially for someone or, like AOP, like why get rid of them one time, bring them back just to do it again if you're not going to, at least give them that try, give them that push a little bit. That's something I really don't understand. But I think WWE, especially this time around, has done it a lot better than what AEW, has been doing. So,
yeah, man, it's funny that you mentioned AOP. It's the trimming the fat thing is a little bit of it too. It's like they have so many people in developmental now that I don't see how it is possible to stay within budget with as many folks as they have. And I get it, and us, a lot of those. But Sonya was like in an active thing, like Pure Fusion Collective is like active out there, so. That part was a little weird to me, but I do get it, I guess, a little bit. But the AOP thing, you're right. And it's similar to the Chelsea Green thing, right? She was cut twice and then brought back. And now, obviously, she's thriving. But, yeah, there's a lot of those that are it's really, really hard to tell if it's good for them or bad for them. Are they going to leave the business? They can do something else. Elektra Lopez is one where she was active with Legado del Fantasma. So I really thought, I don't know, I just thought it was going to go a different direction with some of that stuff. So I do think it's a little bit better than it used to be, though, for sure, man. It's not so like ruthless. It seems like, hey, this is the direction we're going, and things like that. So I'd be interested to see how a lot of these guys and girls go after it. I think someone put it. I don't know who said it, but it was like, I'm happy for the 90 days. Or maybe it was Indy Hartwell. She was like, I'm happy for the 90 days because it gives me a chance to think about it and grieve a little bit about it and like think about it. I'm not like forced immediately to, hey, I got to find a job tomorrow and like take the first thing off, popping. So interesting enough. Like I said, it's an interesting thought behind it, but I guess a lot of releases on both sides. AEW, obviously, I don't think that they release people. I think they let people run to the end of their contract and then call it square, right?
Yeah, and I think it was a lot of people that fans wanted to see on TV, but for whatever reason, whether it was backstage stuff, we just never got it, being Aleister Black, Miro, and, of course, Ricky Starks.
Yeah, and that's a good point, too, man. The AEW release, again, their roster is so bloated that when people get cut, I forget that they're even there sometimes. Obviously, Aleister Black was on TV, but like Miro, I thought he had left a long time ago after Lana and that whole deal, and they got divorced and all that stuff. I thought he had already left. So for me, I guess, I don't know, just kind of crazy there. But Ricky Starks, obviously we're going to talk about that next, but him getting released is like, he wasn't doing anything on TV either. So cool, his contract's up, let him get paid and call it what it is. Like, it's interesting because I don't know, how do you build stars? People are in like eras, right? So you have these eras of wrestling if that person's part of it, and sometimes they don't fit in, or sometimes they don't grow, or sometimes they don't whatever, and then on to the next thing. And Braun Strowman's been the same thing. Braun Strowman's been released twice, and now look at him. He's back and he's having matches a lot. So I don't know. I think it is sad. Obviously, nobody wants to see people lose their jobs, but I think when you are on WWE and you are on TV, the indies do pay, not as well as you were getting paid before, but it gives you the opportunity. If you look at what Matt Cardona did, obviously Cardona is not the only example. Cardona, Cody, Drew McIntyre, Raj, dang it, the Maharaja, the Maharaja, like all those guys, they leave and they have a chance to come back one time and then make a big run. So I do think that they could do a lot and like rebuild themselves and do something that they weren't able to do on TV. Do I think like Sonya Deville's going to go wrestle on the indies? Nah, I doubt it. I don't know, but maybe. The AOP, they were gone for 2 years. I don't know if they were getting paid or just not on TV, but they never showed up on the indies either. So I don't know what they're going to do now, but they're obviously of a different breed. It's going to be a different animal for them. So we'll see what happens, but the releases are all over, and
to kind of go back on how you mentioned that, it's not as ruthless and cutthroat, I think I saw somewhere that, especially now for people that are using their names and that type of stuff, they're able to take that with them when they leave, whether they want to be... that was a big
thing Triple H was saying. Like, if you brought it here, we're not going to hold it hostage.
Yeah, exactly. So, whether you want to be attached to that, that WWE type character, or go your separate ways, you at least have that option to do so.
Agreed, 100%. I'll be interested to see, obviously, because it gives people a chance to rebrand themselves and do a lot of different things. I know Baron Corbin's another one where I do like his new name, Bishop Dyer, and he's talked about he wants to go to Japan and be in the G1. Someone else that got released said the same thing, like the G1 was one of their dreams. Damn, who else got released?
The Good Brothers, they're probably going to.
Oh yeah, obviously the Good Brothers will be back. Someone said that no one has finessed the wrestling business better than Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, and I was like, that's a good point, man. They probably will end up, or in AEW again, honestly, with the Bucks or something like that. They'll have an opportunity. I don't think they're done by any stretch. Those guys are
crazy. It's crazy for me to think about, how much they do go back and forth between, here in Japan. It's like, do they have a house over there? It's like, okay, WWE says, see you guys, and then they just take a plane.
they just take up shop. They're like, oh, well, I guess we'll just vacation in Tokyo for the next few months. Yeah, we'll see. That's a good point, especially with AJ coming right back too. AJ's back now, so like I kind of thought they might do something with them, but crazy. The Good Brothers. Up next, we're going to talk, obviously, I brought this up at the beginning of the call with the Bully Ray and Undertaker thing, but Ricky Starks is in NXT. Ricky Starks, obviously they didn't say him by name. I'm assuming they're probably trying to figure out sync and licensing and all that stuff because he does own his name. He branded that after a certain point. So, Ricky Starks, man, absolute got his way. I don't know. We'll never know. I don't know if he's going to come out and say anything, obviously, bad about AEW more than he already has. That's not really bad, but just like in general, I don't know if he'll say more. I am excited to see it. They did a great job with Ethan Page, but here's the real thing, right? Everyone's like, oh, WWE is the big leagues, and I get that. It is to a certain extent, right? And NXT is not developmental. We're not even going to have that discussion because those people on the internet have not watched NXT in the last 2 years. But obviously, it's a chance to sink or swim. But I think it's a chance to sink or swim anywhere. You don't have to rest on. You obviously can't rest on your laurels, but who's to say that people can't leave WWE, go to AEW, and become a huge star? The same way people are saying that about Ricky Starks, like, oh, he's going to become a big star. It's like, hey, he's still going to have to perform. You still got to be like, I understand he's good on the mic and he can talk and he can do that, but it's like the bell has to ring too, guys. I don't think people quite understand that. Like, I understand people don't like, the wrestling's not the main point. Yeah, but it's a big fucking part of it. Okay, the bell has to ring. So. Again, we haven't seen him wrestle. He's the Defy champion now. He'll probably have to give that belt back. He just won on the Indies, but it's a cool thing, man. I'm excited for him. Awesome. I like him in ring, and I like his mic skills, and so I thought he was great on commentary when he was hurt. So we'll see what happens in NXT. What are your thoughts? Are you watching NXT actively, and what are your thoughts on Ricky Starks?
So I currently don't watch NXT, but I do think that of course I see clips and keep up with a lot of it. Yeah. But I do think, with Stark showing up, I think it's going to interest me into tuning in. I'm just kind of happy to see him back. I was a huge fan of him in AEW and thought he was, gaining a lot of steam, and just kind of like the AEW bug just kind of fades out. So I'm hoping he can really have a decent run. And to go on what you said about the mic skills, the wrestling, I don't think it's really the wrestling that, really needs to be worried about. I think that potentially over time, the promo stuff that he's kind of continued to do his whole length through AEW could start to wear on people and start to get tired.
Yeah, it's like very similar. It's never a little, it's kind of like a shtick. I've felt that way about MJF a lot. I think his shtick live is the same shit all the time.
I'm starting to feel that way a lot. I mean, and I was just as big an MJF fan as anybody. And once you had said that, really listening to a lot of his promos now, it's like they're all the same and they're getting really cheesy.
Yeah, but last night the thing with Hangman was cool. All that to say, like you said, if you're doing the same shit over and over again, it does become stale. So we'll see what Ricky does, man. He's been, to tell you the truth, he's been really doing the same thing since NWA. I watched him on NWA when Power first started. He was on there before signing with AEW and all that stuff. So I'll be interested to see where it goes. Like I said, I think they did a great job with Ethan Page. They turned him around and not to say that there's not a learning tree, excuse the pun, but at WWE they have a great ability to turn things. NXT right now is on fire as well. I watched the episode, and I watch the episodes most Tuesdays after my racing podcast. We talk, and I'll watch it, and I'll have it on the background. But they're doing a lot of cool story stuff that's really good, and I think it gives people a chance. They rotate stories in and out. It's like they're intricate stories, but they're rotating so you're getting to see new people, and you're getting to see new folks, and you're getting to see new teams, and they do a good job with that too, to give people a chance, obviously, because there is still that developmental piece that's tied to it. It's not developmental, but it is a developmental piece that's tied to some of those. So Interested to see where they go with Ricky Starks. Let us know in the chat, man. Let us know your comments and your thoughts on Ricky Starks. Unless they're terrible thoughts, we don't really care. But let us know if you've got a good opinion. You know what I mean? We want to know. All right, last one, and this is a headline. Again, we don't have to talk the full 5 minutes about this one, but Hiroki Goto won the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship 9 years after challenging the last time for it. So it's been almost a decade that he hasn't, and he's never captured the gold. So one of the things I'll tell you, if New Japan lost a lot of people to AEW. They lost a lot of wrestlers. And that's really hard, whether people, it's just like any federation or group or, whatever. When you lose talent, it's hard if you're not prepared to a certain extent, or guys get injured or whatever. And Goto supposedly wasn't even supposed to be the next up, but then someone else got hurt and he kind of stepped in. And now he's world champ, man. Took it from Sabre. Again, if you don't watch Japanese wrestling, that's okay. I will tell you, though, if you say it doesn't have storyline, then you probably don't understand it, and that's okay too. It's just not for you, and it doesn't have to be. But they do have a lot of great story stuff going on right now. They've got a lot of great talent coming up, and at the top now, they've really reestablished things after the Sonata kind of debacle. It didn't really go well. Then they kind of have struggled to find themselves, and now LIJ is the tag team champion. So New Beginning had a huge thing. Obviously, you probably keep up with the clips on the internet or something, but do you have you ever seen a Goto match fully?
I have not. When you sent me the notes earlier, I did, of course, type it in the old Google machine.
Yeah.
And dude, I mean, I did watch, a few match clips, and yeah. I mean, he looks the part. One of the clips I've seen, he had some crazy looking body paint on.
Oh yeah, he did. He wrestled Okada as like a Liger used to do it. They call it Kaishin. I don't know what it stands for, but basically, like, Liger's done it, Muda's done it, Hakushi started it. It's like that thing, and it was pretty crazy. And that was the last time he wrestled Okada. He wore that and he lost. Pretty crazy.
That was super, super cool. I'm like, damn, I want to, see some more of this guy. But honestly, I think it's really cool. Maybe it's just me from an outsider's perspective, because I don't keep up with a lot of Japanese wrestling. I'll watch a lot of the old school stuff.
Sure.
But it seems like it doesn't matter where they are with the talent, the stars they have over there. The fans are so diehard, and it just seems like it's going to be a huge thing over there, like, just forever. Just, it seems like Japanese people love
it's treated like a sport, right? So I think that's the cool thing about it, is it's a much different take on professional wrestling than American that I was raised on, right? Which I think is a really cool factor about it. Like you said, it's interesting from an outsider's perspective. The other thing too is, like, almost every move that you love was innovated in Japan, which is cool, because then it gets taken here and there's a new flair on it, or but like all of that stuff is he does what's called the GTR, which is so sick, and he does the KO. Takagi does the KOD before Bianca did it. There's just like so much cool stuff. Again, and that's just me being a fan of it and whatever, but the Goto winning the world title is really cool because, like I said, Goto was tag teams with Yoshihashi for the last basically 9 years and hasn't done anything but won tag team gold. He won the Never Openweight or some other stuff, but to see him win the world title was pretty neat. Obviously, I like Zack Sabre. I thought he was good. He obviously didn't get this like crazy run as a world champion. He was in the main event, and a lot of people, like, if you don't watch Japanese wrestling and you're trying to get new people to come in, having a Zack Sabre match probably isn't the first thing they want to see, because he's very, very technical. But Goto is like the quintessential strong style guy, just clothesline, forearms, slap bolt. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So either way, shout out to Hiroki Goto and New Japan on the come up. There's a lot of Japanese wrestling news right now. Also, like, all four of the main ones combined
I saw that.
They're called United. So it's like a whole thing now, right? Where all the top brands are one company. That'd be like AEW, WWE, and TNA all coming together as one. So pretty crazy in the Japanese wrestling world right now. Again, if you don't watch it, I'm not here to make you feel bad or gatekeep. It's just it's interesting. It's good stuff. So, all right, those are the headlines. We're gonna talk about this next, man, and this is we obviously Rumble was 2 weeks ago, and we did a Rumble watch along, which was a lot of fun. And then we got to do our pool over the weekend, and I won the women's pool. Shout out, paid my car payment this month, man. Shout out to Charlotte Flair, getting it done at 27, and that worked out good for me. Overall, though, man, what were your thoughts on the Rumble as a whole?
I thought it was a pretty good show. The women's Royal Rumble, I thought, was, a little to be desired for.
Sure.
Of course, I feel like everybody kind of knew that, going into it, Charlotte was, the heavy favorite. Of course, there's always
death. 3 things are certain in life: death, taxes, and Charlotte Flair when she comes back winning everything.
Absolutely. I mean, if you can, that's just as sure as the damn sun's going to rise in the morning. But as far as Cody and KO, I thought that was a really good match. Definitely
those
some
bumps were nuts.
Some heavy spots there, especially. I mean, the one with the ladder, bridged over. It looked, a lot nastier than what it was. KO did a great job
Alabama
at
Slam,
pulling up. Yeah. And then the men's Royal Rumble. I don't know,
so
man.
You're not happy with the Jay? You're not happy with Jey Uso?
I see why they did it, and it kind of goes back to that conversation you and some of your friends were having in the chat. If it's one thing that you need to put the champion on somebody, they're talking about being over, then it would be Jey Uso, and just kind of came to fruition.
Yeah, man. You trying to sell figures and merch, or what are you trying to do?
Yeah.
You're trying to prove a point. Like, that's the way I look at it, right?
Yeah, and I know a lot of people. I feel like the Royal Rumble is an event that a few non-wrestling fans kind of get into it, and
1,000%.
People that I know that don't really watch wrestling, they're like, who's this guy? Why are all the people in the crowd moving their arms like that? Like, people like this guy. And from somebody who doesn't watch wrestling to notice that, that's kind of self-explanatory.
That's a perfect way to put it, man. Look, at first I wasn't excited about Jay in the sense of, like, it didn't make sense to me, because I was like, he just lost last week in the world title. Now we're going to give him another world title shot, and it's going to be a main event. Because it doesn't say challenge for a title. When Michael Cole said, he says main event WrestleMania.
Yeah,
when you
and I hate how they have
main
done that.
event WrestleMania. That's what they say, right?
Yep.
So for me, at first I was like, okay. But the one thing I took from it is like, you have to trust Triple H and what he's doing right now. Obviously, there's still some dog shit out there, but like, he's pretty much hitting on. He's hitting 8 out of 10, right? They're throwing fastball 8 out of 10, and he's hitting all of them. So the Jey Uso thing, I think it's going to be cool. Whatever they do at WrestleMania is going to be good. Him and Gunther, they're building that story correctly. They did a great job with it. And Jey beats Gunther night 1, but I don't think it should open the show. I don't like that you're going to say main event WrestleMania and then send him out there first. Like, I understand they did it last year on the second night with the Money in the Bank, and that was the reason why they did it. But there is no Money in the Bank carrier right now, so that doesn't exist. You know what I mean? So, like, what are we gonna do? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. It's a interesting take there. We'll see what happens.
Something also that came up for me. I mean, grew up on John Cena, huge John Cena, will love him forever. But to me, and I don't know if it was me just being picky, but it seemed like a lot of stuff that he was doing in the ring, including when he got thrown out, was a lot of, it seemed like theatrics and a lot of acting, like he's stuck in that world.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, you're back in WWE, you got to learn to cut it off and
Sure.
be more of a.
That's an interesting take. I haven't heard anybody say that, but that's a good takeaway from that. I didn't think about that, but the facials that he was doing at the end, and I was like, oh, these aren't kind of typical Cena. Honestly, it's like, it's the victory lap right now. Like, I'm just going to like the match. It is going to be what it's going to be, right? It's like, I don't think it's going to, I'm not expecting him to go out there and hit the infrared again, or, I would prefer chain gang Cena more than the cornball, the stuff he does now, but I get it. whatever. But yeah, that's a good way to put it. One thing I will say about the Rumble as well is I thought it was like a good time, like timing wise. It wasn't super long. It ran well. The 2 out of 3 match was man. I apologize. This for some odd reason my countdown timer flips randomly. I apologize. So you guys just saw the intro again. What I was saying was I thought it was timed really well. From they had a good thing. The 2 out of 3 falls was good. Just interesting to see that. The way that they planned it out. It's 4 matches, and it was good. And what did you think of the 2 out of 3 falls tag match? Did you care for it? Because I think Gargano, I just don't. Motor City Machine Guns just don't really fit in for me in WWE right now.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I like some of their stuff in TNA, but neither team really does it for me. So, that was probably more so the time I was running to grab snacks, go to the bathroom, check my phone out, and stuff. But I'm glad. I will say, regardless, it doesn't matter who the teams are. I'm glad to see a tag team title match on a PLE. I'm very happy. To see
that's
that
another thing. That's what I was excited about most is that they were putting them back on there because they haven't been one, and I love tag team wrestling. I don't know. I don't think that they have enough good emphasis on the tag team stuff right now. I need some new tag teams in there to make things happen, some new stuff. I need there to be a new cool tag team. It doesn't feel like there's like cool tag teams right now, like with FTR and the Bucks and like there's those guys in AEW obviously, but like I just don't. The WWE tag teams don't do it for me. The War Raiders are like ugh to me. I don't know right now. It just doesn't really feel that good. So, fair enough. Rumble happened. I won the pool. Shout out to me. A few other folks won, too, because we had a bunch of people in it. Tyler did not, however. He had terrible numbers, though.
Terrible numbers. I think I had like...
Who did you get? Because I got Ludwig Kaiser in the men's, and I got Charlotte in the women's. So, like, I got 1 out of 2, but... I will say my the one in the women's it was terrible. But my men's I had Braun Breaker, so that wasn't okay. That was an opportunity.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I didn't think I was going to win, but much better than Ludwig Kaiser. I'll say that.
Sure. Before we talk about this next topic, while we're talking about Braun Breaker, 2 things. What were your thoughts on the I Show Speed moment? Obviously, I get it. Puts a million eyes on it. It was fine. Whatever. I don't care. Do I think it took somebody else's spot? Yeah, but it is what it is. What were your thoughts on the I Show Speed thing?
I feel like with what they did with it, I feel like it paid off for them. I was at the Rumble last year, and they had a surprise entrance as McAfee gets up from the announce table, jumps in, jumps out, like something like that. I feel is like a definite waste. But for them to, produce, it was like 300 and some million views in 24 hours.
Yeah.
I feel like for what they did, I feel like they succeeded.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like it really took away from somebody that would have done more than that or been beneficial.
That's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it. I'll go with that. That's fair. All right. Let's talk about the big event this weekend. It is Grand Slam, AEW Grand Slam. Unfortunately, time is immediately following the NBA All-Star Game, which is a tough state. I mean, the NBA All-Star Game already sucks. I love the NBA. I'm a huge Thunder fan. Like I said, I love the NBA, but the All-Star Game is hot garbage. The way that they do it's terrible. The way that they've tried to change it sucks. All-Star games just aren't fun anymore because everything's been done a million times. I do think if I was in the dunk competition, that I would do this. I would have somebody try to reject my dunk while I was doing like a 360. No one's done that yet. No one sent somebody out there to try to block your dunk. The posterizing looks way cooler. So, Mac McClung, if you're listening, now would be the time to try that this weekend. But I digress. The Grand Slam, though, is this weekend. AEW Grand Slam. It is not a pay-per-view, obviously. Let me try to pull up the matches here. I thought I had it up.
And those Australian fans, they're upset about that.
Yeah, they're not super. Which I'm like, the prices are better. Be happy. There's
be
and
happy. On top of that, I've endured one of those 8-hour pay-per-views, so they're doing you a favor.
We've been to some for sure. All right, let's go a little pick'em while we're talking about it. Let's talk about first the match that I'm most excited about. Oh, it's not even the most. I am most excited because he's my favorite wrestler. But Okada versus Buddy Matthews. Who you got?
I definitely think Okada's going to take it. I think it's going to be a hell of a match, though, and I like that they're really showcasing. Well, of course, I guess they kind of have to now that Aleister Black's seemingly moving on. But Buddy Matthews and Brody.
Yeah, and Julia Hart. What are they called now? The Hounds of Hell.
Hounds of Hell. Yeah. I do think. I think it'll be interesting to see what they can do. In front, or them being the front versus Aleister Black talking for them.
Yeah, I agree. I think that'll be interesting. I think it's gonna be a great match. Obviously, I think Kazuchika continues to hold the title, the Continental Belt, and we'll see where that goes. So Okada to the front. Up next is the tag team match that was announced last night. Kind of, really, I guess they kind of solidified it. But Cope and Jay White versus the Death Riders, Moxley and Castagnoli. Who you got there? Well, actually, before you say who you got there, did you see the segment last night between them all? Did you see all their stuff?
Yeah, at the end with the belt.
Well, yeah. So they took the tie. I actually thought that was pretty good. They took the briefcase from her. They cut the thing, and one of the things I think Jay White is exceptional on the mic. He's so smooth with what he's very articulate. He's very good at it. I don't know why he hasn't connected, because he didn't connect, obviously, as IWGP champion, but that's a different story. But, I think he could connect. I think he's really good with that. I think he should change the Switchblade finisher. I think just too many people associate it with Bray Wyatt, and I do think that sometimes hurts your career at some points. I don't know why I think that, but maybe it's just, I don't know. I think he could be doing some cooler shit. But, sorry, aside from that, now you can go pick him.
No, I don't know. I think that's going to be a tough one. I really don't think they want Moxley and I guess I feel like mainly Moxley to catch an L. But I also kind of feel the same way about Cope.
Yeah. Well, they're fighting at Revolution now, right? Or not now, but they're fighting at Revolution for the world title. So that puts an interesting take on that match, right? It's like, who's going to take the pin? Is it going to be, if anybody's going to take the pin, it's either going to be Castagnoli or Jay White, right? Obviously.
Yeah. Absolutely, and I feel like I don't know, man. I feel like that the Death Riders will probably pin Jay White for it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm excited about that, though. I think it's gonna be good. They have 5 matches listed, so I'm excited about them. Up next is Mercedes Moné versus maybe the most captivating human being on TV right now, Harley Cameron. She is absolutely crushing it. Everything she does is gold. She's entertaining. She's over the top. She's great. She's one of those characters that's really, really good. Now the question is she one of those characters like when we were talking about last week when we were doing the watch along, is she Damian Sandow, where it's just like a really over the top character and it's over right now? Or is she really over the top and it's really good long term? I don't know. Who are you picking there, Mercedes or Harley?
I'm thinking definitely Mercedes. I think Tony Khan is so high up on Mercedes right now. I don't think he wants to take any of the belts off of her. Of course, I think she just has the one AEW belt, the TBS, right?
Yeah, I just don't think. I think that if you're trying to expand the product, Harley Cameron's the person to expand the product. Obviously, Mercedes is a huge name, but Harley's getting more views socially right now than any other star, I would say, in AEW right now.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that, and like you said, she is absolutely hilarious. She's so
the stuff with the doll, the stuff, and then she did a rap song yesterday. I thought that was hilarious.
Even the one of the first nights when she was popping up everywhere with the guitar, coming up with little jingle. I mean, it's hilarious.
She's great,
and I remember
she's also Australian, isn't she?
Yeah, so it's going to be. I think that also is why not only is she hot right now, but it's also like a hometown thing for her.
Yeah. I agree, man. I think that she does a really, really great job. So interesting to see how that pans out for her. I'm going to go Harley Cameron on this one. I'm taking Harley.
I hope so, man. That'd be awesome. I'd like to see it.
All right. This is a big tag match. This may be 4 of the best in-ring wrestlers going right now. This may be 4 out of the top 10. Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita taking on Billy Goat, Will Ospreay, and Kenny Omega. Who you got in this one? This is if this tag team match isn't a 12-star thing, I don't know what else could be.
Oh, we definitely know Meltzer's definitely going to be.
Hold on, Dave Meltzer gave it 3 stars just on the match announcement. Like he's already in.
I think definitely Kenny and Ospreay are going to take it. You know, isn't this Kenny's first match back?
Yes. Well, technically, no. He wrestled Brian Cage. Yeah, he's wrestled. No. He wrestled on Dynamite. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I just don't think, you know, with him just being freshly back, only, you know, a few matches in, I don't think they're going to get him an L.
Yeah, I think that's the hard part right here. When they have so many like special events, you can't really keep an undefeated streak going very long, and you can't like because you're building to something every week. It feels like, as opposed to like building to something long term, which is fine. It doesn't have to be that way. Sometimes we're programmed to think that. So it's like I don't know. That's the one thing they do with factions is they just kill them off too quickly because they give them an L as soon as you put them on top. You give them an L. That's why I think the Death Riders thing is going on so long, because that's been like a constant nagging point on booking, is that they kill off that stuff way too quickly. So I think that's probably why the Death Riders are benefiting from that. But we'll see. Callis family. I'm gonna also go Ospreay and Omega because I don't see them losing. All right, main event though. Mariah May taking on Toni Storm. Well, this is exciting because I do think they probably did it too soon. I think they should have done it at Revolution. But it's in Australia and Tony's Australian, so it's like, you know, you kind of have to do it, right?
Yeah. I think, like I said a few weeks ago, man, AEW has got top-notch women's wrestling. I feel like
and their women's division keeps getting better.
Yeah, and you know they're with them, I guess, producing a star now, and what could be Harley Cameron. I feel like that's going to only add to it, and I think I don't know if they take the belt off Mariah yet. I think
Mariah should win. I think that if they're going to try to do the hometown thing, they should do it with Harley, and then Mariah should beat Toni Storm again.
Yeah, and I mean, she definitely doesn't need any help right now. Mariah doesn't, but I mean, you want to give her some good heat.
Yeah, you can give her a helper out there, send somebody out there. Yeah,
beat the hometown girl. But I think Mariah. I want Toni to win, but I think Mariah will take it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Mariah as well. I don't really care who wins. I think it's gonna be a good match either way. But I do think Mariah's. I think Toni's better with the chase than she was obviously. I don't even know why I said that because she was great as timeless Toni Storm as the champ. That's been awesome. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, Grand Slam is this Saturday night again. After unfortunately it is tape delayed. On top of that, tape delayed after the NBA All-Star Game. Quite possibly the worst placement of a wrestling show of importance ever. I don't know that I've ever seen a bad one like that. That's pretty crazy.
And what time? I'm wondering. I kind of want to go check the TV right now.
It says 11 o'clock is when the game's over. Shit. And the problem with the All-Star Game is the clock. Well, hopefully they'll do the clock keeps running. They used to do that where the clock. They used to stop it, and so the game would end up being like 183, to like 170 something. And you're just like, damn, this game takes forever, dude. So we'll see what happens on that. But TK, I hope that I'd be asking for extra money. Y'all gonna put us on after the All-Star Game? What we look like?
Exactly. Take it to Max and just call it a day.
I'm surprised they didn't simulcast it live. I'll be honest with you. They could. They had the opportunity to do. I'm sure it's probably a lot to produce it that way, so that may be part of it. But I don't know. All right, last one. It is the randomizer, but this time we're back to one has to go. But instead of one, these are instead we used to do. You got to keep one, right? And you get rid of the other 3, which is always nice because it was bad. But now you've got to. We are going to be stuck with 3 of these other terrible things, and one you do luckily get rid of, and it is title belts in wrestling that are unnecessary. So we've got
a lot of those.
Yeah, there's a lot of those. So you've got in Japan the never open weight, all of them. The 6-man title, they have a never open weight regular title, singles title. So those. You have AEW's Continental belt. In WWE, you have the Speed title and any other subsequent shitty titles like that. And in TNA, you have the Digital Media title. So you've got to get rid of one. One has to go, but unfortunately, we're stuck with the other 3. So again, it's the IWGP's never open weight stuff. That's the 6-man and the singles. In AEW, it is the Continental title. In WWE, it is the Speed title and all other subsequent shitty titles that they have. And in TNA, it is the Digital Media title. Which one has to go?
God, that's
yeah.
tough.
I gave you some tough ones because they're all equally as shitty. The problem with AEW is I was like trying to figure out which ones I wanted to get rid of, and it was. But I hate the Continental Classic belt because they have those other belts that are supposedly like I think that they should get rid of the International belt and all the other stuff, and the Continental belt should be the second one. But they don't. It's not a thing, right? So it's like. So then I was like, well, shit. I got to either pick that one or the 6-man. Obviously, the 6-man has to go. But I'm just assuming that does. I'm just acting like that one doesn't exist anyway.
Man, I'm gonna say the Speed belt because I don't even know what the hell that is. I've seen some promos for it.
You've never watched a Speed match on Twitter?
I have not.
Bro,
no,
you got to do it.
Isn't it like within a certain?
It is 3 minutes, and it is literally a speed. And now they have a women's speed belt. It's on Twitter, only on Twitter.
Okay, so maybe that's why I'm picking this Speed belt because it does sound kind of interesting. I just saw it. Was another show that WWE was putting out online.
Yeah,
and I'm like, man, we just don't need this. It's been too many of them over the years that just don't work.
They keep getting paid. That's why they're doing it.
Yeah, hey, I'm all for that. I'd do it too.
Yeah.
But I would say that the Speed belt and
okay, you're getting rid of the
I'm
Speed belt.
Think of any other shitty belts that WWE has, but all the other
I'm
ones,
going to be honest with you, having 2 women's belts, 2 extra ones, the Intercontinental title belt, like I was going to put that one in there. Yeah. I think you only needed one. You only needed either the United States or the Intercontinental. You didn't need both. Not no disrespect to them. I just think it takes away from them actually winning it.
Right.
Same with their tag title belts. I don't think they need 2 separate tag title belts.
Yeah, me personally, I would prefer instead of just having a bunch of just a bunch of title belts, I would throw a comedy belt like you did with the hardcore, the 24/7.
Yeah.
To mix the show up a little bit, I'd appreciate something like that. But,
yeah, I think that they should do the speed segments while everyone else has commercials on Netflix, right? Because some people it goes to commercial break, right? But if you're watching and I don't have commercials, so on mine, I see all the segments in between. And typically it's like 1.5 minutes to 2.5 minutes or whatever. And I was like, that's where you should have the speed belt in between the segments so no one sees it except people that paid extra for Netflix.
Ring the bell as soon as you go to commercial, and that's all you need.
Yeah. And then when they come back, you see who's won, who's ever holding up the title, and you didn't get to see the match. But, let's try that out.
That's some WCW shit right there. You don't see who wins.
That's good shit. All right, I'm going to get rid of the never open weight stuff, man. I think New Japan invented having too many belts. They are the first ones to do it that I can remember as a kid growing up and watching, tape trading and stuff. They just had so many title belts, and I'm like, why do we do this? They finally got rid of the King of Pro Wrestling belt. It wasn't even a belt. It was a trophy that Toru Yano used to carry around. It was absolute dog shit. Now they do it as a winner gets a title match. So that was cool. So I'm getting rid of that. They also have the G1, which is like a Money in the Bank, and you have to win a tournament. That's what the Continental Classic is, the G1 in Japan. And so when you win that, you get a title shot by winning the G1. So the never open weight stuff is just like, hey, we're trying to put belts on people. It's like they don't even sell them as merch. It's not like a merch seller thing. It's just I don't get it. I don't understand. Why do they have a 6-man title version of it? Like, why are we doing this shit? So I'm going to get rid of those. Those are the digital media one in TNA. I was like, that's a pretty bad one, but I do find it kind of funny because you heard about the PCO thing, right? Did you hear about this? Yeah. So, and then Steph DeLander brought hers. She's like, well, I got it in the divorce. And I was like, that's pretty funny. So I was like, okay, I'm going to keep this one. The speed one, like I said on Twitter, it's wild. You got to watch. It's pretty crazy. And then the Continental Classic only because Okada is still champion right now. But when he loses it, I'd have got rid of that one. So good stuff, man. It's been a crazy 2 weeks of wrestling. Obviously, we caught up on a lot of things, a lot of stuff outside of wrestling still happening, and we're on the road to Elimination Chamber. Are you excited about this? We're just kind of wrapping up here, but are you excited about Elimination Chamber and the way it's shaping up right now?
Yeah, I think so far the contestants who've qualified, I mean, it looks like it's going to be similar to the Royal Rumble. It's going to be, big stars in there, which, is always good to see, both men's and women's so far.
Yeah.
Kind of interested to see how they'll play things out and, what kind of interactions Punk and Cena will have. That'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I think there's so many things, and we're going to talk about dream scenarios coming out of Elimination Chamber, like potential scenarios here next week. A lot of that stuff, because just the way that they're intertwining stories now, where people are coming in and it's not just, like I mentioned last time, like it's not just one-on-one confrontations. There's now 1v1, v1, v1. Like there's intertwining of everything, which is really good, which makes it better for storytelling because there's more things going on. You don't know what's going to happen. It takes away the predictability, which is better. Wrestling is good when you can't predict it. You know what I mean? So yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that as the weeks come on.
I think they, I guess at the Royal Rumble, did exactly what the Royal Rumble is designed to do, and to set those moments and those matches up for the big upcoming road to WrestleMania.
1,000%.
Kind of excited.
1,000%. I'm very excited for you. I'm excited for us, for wrestling fans. I'm sad that I'm going to miss WrestleMania live in Vegas, but we will be watching. All right, man. Well, thank you for joining us. I'm PJ North. This is Tyler Miller. Until next time, when we go around the mat.